All right, everybody, how's it going? It is Tuesday, November 11th, 2025, and of course, we just finished with week 10 of the NFL, so it's only natural, it's only right that we go to 1,000 minus 989, which is week 11. So, I think anyway, I'm not very good at math. You can check my numbers on that, but I'm pretty sure I got that right, which is pretty good for me on the first try. But yeah, we're in week 11, so we did really good last week. Finally had a double-digit win week. We went 10-4, really good. So that's solid. Missed on a few games, but who really cares? It was a pretty solid week. We got all the prime times right for once. We actually had a really, really good week. So yeah, we only really missed on like crazy upsets, really. We got the Jets one, we got the Chargers right, we got the Patriots right. We really killed it this week. So anyway, before we jump into the video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Both those things really do help out our video, help the channel out, blah blah blah, YouTube mumbo jumbo. And the more important thing is you leave your picks down below in a comment, what your record is overall, how you did last week, what your picks are for this week, what you think of my picks, whatever you want to comment. I'm pretty sure I get to most comments. I may forget one or two just because I'm super busy during the middle of the week, but hey, make sure you leave them. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right, let's jump into our week 11 picks video. So like, subscribe, most importantly, leave a comment. All that really helps us out here, and I appreciate you. All right, pick 'em record now. As we said, we went 10-4 last week, kind of rebounding slowly from our kind of weird stretch of season here. However, we're still at 93, 55, and 1. So we're having a pretty good overall season, despite, you know, everything kind of being rocky. We're like 62.5% overall pick'em, so that's really good. We're picking pretty good, moving right along. Only 2 teams off this week, so we have 15 games to watch this weekend, which is pretty great. Kind of a bummer for me because I only really care about the Thursday and Sunday night football this week. But hey, Colts are off, Saints are off, which means the Patriots have a very funny opportunity right away to become the #1 seed this weekend. So let's jump right into the game. And the Saints don't have to lose this week, so good job for Saints fans. Thursday night football, we have the New York Jets taking on the #2 seed in the AFC and the #1 seed, or the #1 team in the AFC East, New England Patriots. Patriots are 11.5 point favorites with an over-under of 43.5. As always, FanDuel's the lines come from FanDuel, and the lines are always included after I make all my picks, right before I record the video. So they're there for your entertainment and for your wonder, and I don't really let them influence my picks. Anyway, jumping right into this though. Yeah, I like the Patriots here. I think most people are going to pick the Patriots in this. The Jets are 2-7. They have 2 straight wins though, so that's kind of cool. That, you know, kind of a special teams win versus the Browns. They're 2-7. The Patriots are 8-2 off a kind of upset win over the Bucs, but kind of a statement win over the Bucs. Like, hey, we're a really good team. I think for the Jets though, who don't really play offense, and they're not going to have Garrett Wilson, one of the few guys on the team who actually do damage to the Patriots. I don't really see this game going too great for them. You know, they don't have an O-line, they don't have an offense. They struggle to get 100 total yards, and the Patriots have one of the best defenses on all of football. They basically only give up 23 points a game, and they score like 25. That's why they're 8-2. Defense-wise, the Jets don't really have the best defense. They have moments, but again, they just got rid of everybody. This is a Patriots team that, you know, probably also wants revenge for the way last season ended. So this game probably won't be close, but you never know, right? It's a division game on Thursday night, short week. Anything could happen, but the Patriots are also a home team, and they're far better than the Jets. So I have the Patriots in a pretty easy blowout, which will put the Patriots as the 1 seed for a week. What a time. Can't believe it. Such a good time to be a Patriots fan. And then we have a game in Madrid. Sorry to the people of Madrid for this one. The Commanders take on the Dolphins. Dolphins are 2.5 point favorites with an over-under of 47.5. Both teams are 3-7. Commanders got blown out by the Lions 44-22. And the Dolphins blew out the Bills in an upset 30-13. This is a game I don't think anyone picked correctly. However, with the way Washington's defense looks, I'm pretty sure Jaden Daniels isn't going to be playing in this game. And if that's the case, Miami will win this game. They have an offense. They can score points if everything goes just right. And against the Commanders' defense, I would imagine everything is going to go just right. The Commanders genuinely could not stop the Lions like at any point yesterday. It was just the Lions just trying random shit out, and it worked every time. And Miami's defense should be able to do just enough to keep the Commanders' really limited offense off the board, or, limited enough to where they can score more and win. I don't know. This doesn't seem like it's going to be a very good game. Dolphins are favored by 2.5 with an over-under of 47.5. However you want to take that. Carolina Panthers take on the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are 3.5-point favorites with an over-under of 42.5. Panthers coming off a tough loss to the Saints, 17-7. And the Falcons also off a loss, 31-25 to the Colts. They could have won the game, but they didn't. Story of the Falcons season. This is a game they probably should win, the Atlanta Falcons. So they'll lose in convincing fashion. They'll lose this game. Falcons are favored by 3.5, over under 42.5. I'm not picking them. We have a golden rule here on the channel that never really fails. You really can't go. See, if you have listened to the golden rule, you would be 6-3 on just not picking the Falcons off rip. You'd be like, I don't pick that loser ass team. And that works. It works a shocking number of times. So effectively, I'm not picking the Falcons. You don't pick them. Even if there's a really good reason to pick the Falcons, you probably just should go, they're probably going to lose, and just move on to the next game. One of the games of the week. There's a lot of really good games this weekend. This is one of them. Tampa Bay takes on Buffalo. The Bills are 5.5-point favorites with an over-under of 48.5. Both teams coming off a loss. Buccaneers lost to the Patriots, not to the Buccaneers. We've already talked about that, and we've also talked about how the Bills lost to the Dolphins. Both teams are 6-3. If Tampa Bay is a little bit healthy, I'm kind of asterisking this game, whereas if Tampa Bay is a lot healthier for this game, if they have Godwin and Evans and the running back and their defense and O-line is a little healthier, they'll probably be able to kind of maybe get the upset here. But I think Buffalo at home off a loss is going to be super hyper focused. They know they have to win this game. Whereas if you're Tampa Bay, you can probably blow this one off still. Even if Carolina wins and now you're tied with Carolina for win totals, they still have 2 more losses than you. They still have another loss on you. You're still kind of safe in the division lead, so it's not necessarily a must win at this point. Where for Buffalo, if the Patriots get to 9-2 and they go to 6-4, they basically are not going to probably be able to catch that, because the Patriots can just lose the game to Buffalo. You know what I mean? And the Patriots, as long as they win the rest of them, won't have any issue. And with their schedule, so the Bills are kind of in a must-win situation at home after a bad loss. I'd imagine they're going to be hyper-focused, hyper-ready for this game. I think Buffalo's a lot healthier than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now, and I think that's kind of playing into this for me because I feel like these are very even teams, very evenly matched. But the issue for me with Buffalo is they're very inconsistent week to week, but I feel like after a bad, embarrassing loss, they come out, again, focused, and they're going to be the good version of the Bills that we know that they can be. Tampa will be in this game. They're a very good team. It's just with all the injuries and everything going on with that team, it's really hard to be yeah, they're ready to go up against one of the best teams in the NFL. So we'll see how this plays out for Tampa as far as injuries down during the week. The Chargers take on the Jaguars. Chargers are 2.5-point favorites with an over-under of 43.5. Chargers are literally 7-3 somehow with a 25-10 win over the Steelers. And the Jaguars are 5-4 with a bad loss to the Texans, 36-29. They gave up 26 points in the fourth quarter. And that's why I'm not picking the Jaguars. They can't close games, can't finish games. They seem to be able to start the game off pretty well, but then by the end of it, it seems like they're always losing or the game's been blown. And with the Chargers, they just seem to win games this year. I was stunned to find they were 7-3 last night. I was like, the Chargers are 7-3. Wow. I know they play good defense. They do just enough on offense to win the game. They're a solid team, good coaching. I don't know. It seems like they have a coaching advantage over Jacksonville, an offense advantage, a defense advantage. They just seem to be a better team than the Jaguars. I don't really much care that the Jaguars are at home. I don't know. Feels like a game the Chargers should be able to win pretty handily, in my opinion. Again, the Jaguars just don't seem to be able to finish games, and the Chargers seem to be able to do that. They don't charger much lately, so that's good for them. Maybe that's been fixed. Another surprisingly decent game. The Chicago Bears take on the Vikings. Vikings are 3-point favorites with an over-under of 47.5. Bears are 6-3 after a comeback win on the Giants 24-20, and the Vikings are 4-5 after losing to the Ravens 27-19. So the reason I'm thinking the Bears lose this one, again, their defense isn't great. You know, they played the Giants. Giants were on a route to whoop their ass until like Jackson Dart came out of the game, and then Russell Wilson had to come in. So again, the Bears defense isn't great. Minnesota's defense isn't exactly rock solid either, however, so this could be kind of a shootout situation. Could be a little bit like game one. I tend to favor home teams in the division games. That's kind of where I'm leaning on. That is like, well, I feel like these two teams aren't that far apart. Chicago's playing better football than Minnesota, but as far as like roster talent and everything like that, they're pretty much the same. Minnesota's just having a bad year. Chicago's kind of getting lucky in these late one-score games. And again, it may not be luck, it may be coaching, and maybe they're starting to become a good team. But again, you know, late like lead changes and like against like crappy teams, I'm like, I'm not really a big fan of that. I think the Ravens are going to win most of their games, so I'm not really surprised about Minnesota right now losing to them. I don't know. I just think that the Vikings are a little bit better than the Bears, and especially at home. I know records don't say that, but blah blah blah. The Packers take on the Giants. Packers are 7.5 point favorites with an over/under of 44.5. Packers lost to the Eagles 10-7 last night, which is a crazy game. And the Giants lost, like we just said, 24-20, and they're 2-8. Gonna go with the Packers here, especially if they're gonna have to run with Russell Wilson. Usually, I'd like to pick the home team with the interim coach magic. However, when you got Russell Wilson going out there, and he literally blew that game last night just by doing nothing. Against the Bears, he blew that game. He just didn't do anything when he came in. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Packers here. I'd imagine after kind of looking bad the last couple weeks, they're going to come out and kind of be really aggressive and ready to play some good football. Because again, lose like that game against the the Panthers, the game against the Eagles, the game against the Browns. They've had some real stinkers, or against the some real stinkers, and they kind of want to probably come out focused against kind of a bad defense, against kind of a bad offense with Russell Wilson. So I'd imagine the Packers come out here and win pretty handily. The Bengals take on the Steelers. I don't think Joe Burrow's back, but I put an asterisk on this because if Joe Burrow plays, though, the Bengals will win the game. If not, they'll lose. And the Steelers are coming off a 25-10 loss to the Chargers. Steelers are 5.5 point favorites with an over/under of 49.5. I don't have a lot of comment. I don't think Burrow's going to play this week, so I'm going to go with the Steelers. They're a very inconsistent football team. One week they look good, one week they look bad, and I think I figured out how to predict when the Steelers are going to be good and when they're going to be bad. Plus, it's a home game versus Cincinnati. They always beat the Bengals at home. I don't even care how bad the Steelers team is. Again, I have to revisit the Bengals game. There's two revisits. It's the Buccaneers, Bills, and the Bengals, Steelers, where I'm like, I'm not 100% yet on those, just because of like injury stuff. I'm 100% on this one though. The Houston Texans take on the Tennessee Titans. Texans are 7.5 point favorites with an over/under of 39.5. Titans are 1-8 off a bye. They're the home team, Texans are 4-5 after a comeback win versus the Jaguars. Don't really care that it's Davis Mills, the heck from neck. Or the neck from heck. Sorry, I messed that up. Anyway, I got the Texans. Even though they're not playing great this year, they're way better than the Titans. Though it would be really funny if the Titans beat the Texans. I will say that would be a very funny ending to the week. However, if Houston wins this game, they can keep themselves alive in kind of a weird playoff race this year. Maybe. They got to like win the rest of their games most likely, as do the Ravens. But they're still weirdly alive. They just got to keep winning. So I'd imagine this is kind of a must-win situation for the Texans. So I'd imagine they come out playing pretty good aggressive football. Let's go to the 4 o'clock games. What do you have now? The 49ers take on the Cardinals. These are like the rare bad games of the week. The 49ers are 2.5 point favorites with an over/under of 48.5. And by bad games, I mean like Texans, Titans, Bengals, Steelers, Packers, Giants. There's some stinkers this week, but they're really good ones. The 49ers are 6-4 after a loss 42-26 to the Rams. And the Cardinals are 3-6 after getting blown out 44-22. They got doubled up against the Seahawks. Funny thing is the Seahawks and Rams and the 49ers Cardinals are just swapping opponents from the week before. It's very funny. Because 49ers played the Rams last week. And the Rams are playing the Seahawks this week. Cardinals played the Seahawks last week, and the Seahawks are playing the Rams this week. It's very funny. Anyway, I got the 49ers. I don't think the Cardinals are going to put up much of a fight in this game. The offense isn't great. They looked really bad by switching to Brissett. They may have to switch back to Kyler Murray. Not really sure what's going on over there. Offense is in shambles. Team is in shambles. Defense looks bad. 49ers are going to want revenge after looking like crap against the Rams. They're going to have to win to stay alive in the playoffs and all that. So, yeah, I'd imagine 49ers win quite comfortably. I wonder if we'll see Brock Purdy come back now. That is probably ready for him to come back now that Max lost the game. So, we'll probably see Purdy come back and things will be a little steadier. Cardinals could keep it close with the injuries for the 49ers, though. This is probably this may be game of the week. Seahawks take on the Rams in Los Angeles. Rams are 2.5-point favorites with an over/under of 48.5. This game, genuinely, I had no idea how to pick this because both teams do the same thing. They beat the piss out of someone at 4 o'clock. That's literally been all season long in the 4 o'clock windows has been the Rams or Seahawks just beating the dog shit right out of someone. Very funny to watch those games because, again, they both won 42-26. The Rams did, and the Seahawks won 44-22. I'm going with the home team. I know it's Seattle. They're monsters on the road, and maybe I should swap home wins in this series, and I probably should have did that. But the reason I'm going to go with the Rams is because they can play a full game where they look the same from start to finish. The Seahawks are the best first half team in all of the NFL. Then the second half starts and they start doing weird turnovers. They just give the ball away. The other team like weirdly starts catching up sometimes, like the Cardinals just stink. And if the Seahawks come out there and they play really good in the first half and play like they did in the second half against the Cardinals, they'll lose that game to the Rams. And that's kind of what I'm thinking because it's been like a consistent thing. Seahawks kind of coast in the second half. And if that happens, the Rams will come back and steal the game from them and all the momentum. And I'm kind of thinking that's how this might play out. Seattle gets out big, Rams come back and kind of steal the game in the end. Hence the 31-28 score. It's going to be a good game, though. That was a tough one. The Ravens take on the Browns, and this game wasn't tough to figure out. Ravens are 8.5-point favorites with an over-under of 40.5. They're coming off a big win over the Vikings, 27-19. And the Browns lost to the Jets, 27-20. Pretty sure the Browns are tanking, so I'm going to go with the Ravens. Just off rip, it's just the Browns aren't trying to win football games. And the Ravens' defense is back. Their offense looks good. Ravens are back. And, yeah, that was the easiest prediction of my life 4 weeks ago. When they were like 2-5, I went, well, they're probably going to win the majority of their games now. Maybe one more loss. Kansas City takes on the Denver Broncos. The Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites with an over/under of 44.5. This is a big game for the AFC West. Chiefs are off a bye. They're 5-4. Broncos are 8-2, coming off a 10-7 win versus the Raiders. I think the Broncos' hyper inconsistent offense and streaky football team catches up with them here, and they struggle to score points in this game. Both defenses keep this kind of low scoring and a close game throughout. I just think that the pressure of this game, the scale in which Kansas City is going to be coming at this game, they have an extra week to prepare. They're 5-4. They sort of need to win. Like, they can't afford to lose a lot more games or else they won't win the division. The Chargers are 7-3. The Broncos are 8-2. It's like, Kansas City's starting to fall behind pretty good. If they lose this one, they're like 3 or 4. What would that be? 3 games back of the division. 3.5 really. And that's not good. Like, that's also a division loss. So like getting back and even tying for it would result. You know what I mean? So Kansas City is going to be playing their best football. Broncos defense will be playing their best football. I don't know what we're going to see out of the Broncos offense, and that's like the biggest question mark. Chiefs will be playing good on all 3 phases. We know that. Broncos will be playing great on 2 of the 3. The wild card here is the Broncos offense, and that's like one of the most important things in the game is a team's offense. So it's really hard for me to look at that and go, yeah, you mean the team that doesn't do anything to the 4th quarter on offense, they're going to be fine? I don't know. With the Chiefs defense, is that enough time to like come back into a game? I don't really think so. That's why I'm leaning on the Chiefs here. Could I be wrong? Certainly. Broncos have played great. Chiefs have played kind of shitty all year. That's kind of the reality of that. But we do know and have seen Chiefs in big games this year against teams like Detroit, kind of take over and dominate the game. So I would imagine they kind of do the same here. Or it's very close because both teams play tremendous defense. That's a really good game. Here's potentially game of the year. Genuinely, the Detroit Lions take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are 1.5 point favorites with an over-under of 48.5. Lions are 6-3 off of a 44-22 win. We already know that. Eagles are 7-2 after a 10-7 win over the Packers. This game decides the 1 seed this week. So if the Lions win, I think they jump to the 1 seed over Philadelphia. 7-3, 7-3 with the win for Detroit tiebreakers. So big game with playoff implications, just like the Packers versus Eagles last week. When I look at everything about this is probably going to have some points in it. Lions defense is a little banged up, especially in the secondary, so the Eagles will probably take advantage of that and be throwing. Plus the Lions play very, very good run defense, and they'll take that away from them. So it's going to be a throwing game. So right away, I kind of like the Lions a little bit more in a throwing game, because again, the Eagles can also take away the run of a team. So the Lions, who are a very dominant run team, will probably be able to, again, and they also throw the ball better than most teams, and they do very well against the blitz and throwing. Jared Goff's one of the best in the NFL, specifically like this season, not in his career, but this season he's been very good. So again, I just think like both teams are very, very evenly matched. They're both very well coached. Two of the better offenses in the NFC, two of the better rosters in the NFC going head to head. The one thing that kind of leans me towards Detroit in this game, this was one of the hardest games probably I've ever had to pick. Because again, I'm leaning on the Eagles at home. It's like that's screaming at me. But the one thing that's kind of drawing me away is what I watched the Eagles last night. The Packers could have had a lot of offense in that game had the receivers caught wide open passes. Now, I feel like there was like 10 plus drops of balls like 15 plus yards downfield of guys just kind of wide open and just like they'd get like tapped and drop it. Detroit doesn't do that. So, and one of the ways Detroit likes to move the football is shooting the ball down the field. And I feel like the Eagles, if they have one weakness, is that they seem to be like prone, like, because like they were letting the Packers like complete these passes downfield, but they were just drops. And I was watching that going, oh, that's a problem. And one of the things the Eagles did build their defense around is to stop a team like Kansas City that does a lot of balls behind the line of scrimmage, a lot of jet touch passes, a lot of like misdirections, screens, a lot of dump offs. Like their offense is designed for those their defense is designed to stop that, which is a really smart thing to do in the modern NFL. However, the Lions offense is a vertical downfield offense, or they will make it that for this week. And I wonder, that's what the Packers did, and they were going to execute it, but they just kept literally dropping the football. And if the Lions come out and execute a similar game plan and get guys open as Green Bay was doing, and they have better receivers, I wonder if that creates Detroit's window to win the game, is that Philly's defense is designed to do things that Detroit's offense doesn't necessarily do. So Eagles have to switch their defensive strategy for that game. And it really worked for the Packers because the Packers shot themselves in the foot last night. So I'm wondering, does Detroit kind of bring that similar thing here into this game? We'll find out. I think the Lions do, and I think that's how they steal this game from Philadelphia and Philly. I really would watch out for that situation of like what the Eagles do well on defense versus what the Lions do well on offense, and how there's a mismatch. Remember, I predicted the Eagles to win the Super Bowl last year because of this exact thing of what the Eagles do well on offense or defense is the thing that is how Kansas City plays offense. And that's part of the reason why that game turned out the way that it did. Monday Night Football. Cowboys take on the Raiders. Cowboys are 3.5 point favorites with an over-under of 50.5. I got the Cowboys. 28-17. They're better than the Raiders, but, you know, not by much. Oh boy, this game's what a Monday Night Football game, huh? After all those games we just went over, and then we end on Dallas versus fucking the Raiders. But all right, that's pretty much that for the week. That's week 11 down the drain, in the tube, in the dumps, in the disposal, in the trash compactor, in the incinerator, turned on to 1100 degrees and melted into a cube, shoved up a whale in the bottom of Mariana's Trench, harpooned, eaten by a smaller animal, and there it resides. It's done. It's finished. It's in the ocean. Either way, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. If you have listened this far and you haven't done so, consider dropping a like, leave a subscription if you're new around here. Those things help us out. But most importantly, make sure you leave a comment with your picks, your pick'em record, what you think of the video, just whatever you want to put down there. Make sure you comment it. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a good day, night, morning, mid-afternoon, mid-evening, late evening, early evening, late morning, early morning, brunch, minner, Linner, whenever you listen, I hope you have a good one. Peace out, and as always, just go Lions, go Tigers, and go soon to be number 1 seed in the AFC New England Patriots in 2025. Peace out. Can't believe we're in first place.